Hi everyone, my name is Maura Sharkey, and today I will be reading a speech for you that I wrote to counteract my original persuasive speech about wolf reintroduction into the western United States. The three main points I'm going to use today as to why wolves should not be reintroduced include the perspective of ranchers and livestock owners, the human safety concerns that are surrounding their presence in the environment, and why tax dollars should be used for more critically important issues. So, to begin, livestock production enables major economic revenue for the United States, and according to the USDA, privately owned range and pasture land composes 27%, which is 529 million acres of the continental U.S. acreage, which is the largest use for private lands across the U.S. And while this industry does not appear to be suffering, the introduction has brought a new level of stress to ranchers and how to manage the new threat to their livelihood. Of course, there's going to be threats to livestock, but many of the states that offer reimbursement programs are not sufficient. There needs to be proof that the cattle was killed by a wolf, and many times when wolves do hunt cattle, they'll bring the remains into the woods or mountains, and this makes it nearly impossible to make a missing cattle claim. An article published by High County News written by Gloria Dickey titled "When Cattle Go Missing in Wolf Territory, Who Should Pay the Price?" focuses on ranchers in Oregon who have experienced such troubles. One family of ranchers describes the requirement for confirmed losses as making it nearly impossible for livestock owners to get their due compensation. Another problem for livestock owners is that their cattle and livestock management techniques needed to adapt, though there is little guidance for practices on how to protect their livelihoods. One article from the Capitol Press titled "Western Innovator Helping Ranchers Deal with Wolves" by journalist Jay Shepard describes a new program just recently introduced into Northeast Washington, where the State Department of Fish and Wildlife is sending out officials to help ranchers and livestock owners control loss of their livelihood and livestock. Some of the practices include always keeping the herd mobile, which would add to a lot of the effort that they're going to need to put in, and improving the monitoring techniques of wolf packs to better anticipate the attacks. Going to these extents to protect their livestock is only an added stress to those whose livelihoods depend on it. Another layer to this debate is the threat to human safety, which is probably the main concern as to why people don't approve of wolf introduction into their communities. The West is a symbol of American freedom and adventure, and many people who live in wolf territory feel threatened by their presence. So people who want to go and experience the great outdoors have a new added threat to their freedom to go outside. A telephone survey conducted in Arizona when discussing the introduction of the Mexican gray wolf showed that only 22% of residents approved of the reintroduction, and the majority of residents were against it. And the main reason they were against it is because of the threat to human safety, the concerns following that. One article from the Capitol Press details a seasonal employee working on a stream survey in northern Washington for the Forest Service was chased by two wolves up a tree. She had to radio in and be rescued by a helicopter, and this proves that while the threat was unexpected because the wolves were from a traditionally docile pack, it is still possible, and locals from the area, research scientists, and farmers need to have their guard up at all times. And with all of this information, it begs the question, are tax dollars being used appropriately when funding the reintroduction into the West? Should our tax dollars be going to something that doesn't come with such a threat, maybe combating climate change or eliminating invasive species instead of reintroducing ones that have already been eliminated? These are some of the opinions that people have surrounding the wolf reintroduction. And An article titled "Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf Scientists?" published by the New York Times Magazine goes into depth about both sides of the debate from every perspective you can imagine. It's centered around the experiences of expert wildlife conservationist Rob Wildgus's, and he's a pro-wolf introduction scientist, so when he goes into these polarized Western cultures, he is deemed very unpopular, and people have even sent him death threats because he is threatening their livelihoods, he's threatening their safety, their children's safety. They don't want the wolves around. So people from the region have a saying that wolves are Democrats, and that has a negative connotation associated with it because they are now a symbol for big government interference, and that's a big threat to them. They don't think that big government should be coming in and funding this type of program that does threaten their safety and their livelihoods. So that's what they say to the wildlife conservationist, and he detailed when he goes into a bar or anywhere in the neighborhood, he has to show off that he is carrying a weapon at the time so that he is willing to protect himself. And that just goes to the extent to show how polarizing this debate is in these counties and regions across the West. So the Endangered Species Act has kept many threatened species from extinction, and there is no argument that it is beneficial to the environment. However, the perspective of ranchers and local residents and livestock owners is incredibly important and should be considered when deciding when and where to integrate any wildlife back into a region. The people inhabiting the region should take precedence, and when dealing with such a fierce predator, every precaution should be taken incredibly seriously and with great care. Thank you for watching my speech. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or concerns, please email me, feel free to message me. Thank you.